Thank you so much for choosing to spend your evening with us to learn ways that you can help support your student or students that you have a close relationship with. I want to explain where this comes from. So about a year and a half ago, a collaborative team of San Juan Unified social emotional staff went and got trained in signs of suicide curriculum. We're now offering these to our staff and to our parents as an outreach in supporting our students. So as Benita said, my name is Monica Howard, and I am a program specialist for student support services and manager of White House Counseling. With us, we have Alicia Turner, who's a educationally related mental health therapist for support centers, and Sarah Wiebe-Raboyne, who is an educationally related mental health therapist for special education. And I will let them further introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Sarah Wiebe-Raboyne. I've been with the district about 6.5 years. Alicia?
Hi, my name is Alicia Turner, and I've been with the district about 5 years, and I also work at a mental health hospital.
And before we get started on our training, we would appreciate if you would fill out this pre-parent training survey. It is in the chat, and if you could just take a couple of minutes and fill this out, we would greatly appreciate it. It will soon be in the chat. Vanessa, are you able to put it in the chat?
Yeah, I've placed it in there. I'm going to do it one more time.
Looks like it's going to the people in waiting room. It says everyone in the waiting room.
Okay, try that one more time.
Can you see it now?
One can't open.
Okay. All right, it sounds like we're having a little technical difficulty, so that's okay. We will go ahead and move forward. And then we will try maybe a post-training survey instead of the pre and the post. That's okay. We just have to make do. So go, Vanessa, next slide, please. So we realize suicide is a very challenging topic for everybody. There are a lot of stigmas around suicide, talking about suicide especially. So we encourage you to take a break as needed throughout this training. So a break would look like getting up and getting a drink of water, or quietly walking away from your computer and gathering yourself. If you need additional support, we've posted up some suicide prevention talk lines. So the first one is a national lifeline talk center. You can call the number and they will connect you immediately with a mental health professional. Or there's also a crisis text line. These are also fantastic resources for anyone that you know that may be thinking about suicide or really in a struggling situation that you may come across. So we post these as a valuable resource. Next slide. So this is our agenda for today. Really, the main goal is helping all of our children kind of get through not only this current situation we find all of ourselves in, but also adolescence is not a super fun time of our lives. We all survived it, obviously. We're adults now, and our kids can too, but they need a little bit of support. So that's the overall goal for this training, as well as to provide you some really basic tools in building your awareness around suicide or people thinking about suicide. We're going to get you really trained on this acronym called ACT, which is Acknowledge, Care, and Tell. We're going to tell you things that you can do when your child acts. So whether they are feeling like they're having some suicidal thinking or they come and tell you that they have a friend who's having suicidal thoughts. We're going to help shape some coping skills that you can instill within your kids or kids that you are really close to. We're going to give you some resources of where to get help. And we're going to tell you what to expect if, in fact, one of your children, one of your students, or a student that you know and care about is deemed high risk. We're going to try to take some of the scariness out of that. And lastly, we're going to spend some time telling you what the resources are in not only our school district, which there are a lot, but also in our local community. At the end, we will go over any questions and answers that you might have, because we want you to leave here very informed. And no question is, as they say, no question is a silly question. All questions are very valuable, and we want you to ask. So with that, go ahead, next slide.
I'm going to start talking about why suicide happens. And suicide happens when someone is experiencing intense emotional pain and they see suicide as something that can help stop that pain. So some contributing factors are, go ahead, Vanessa, slide. Untreated depression. So the majority of people who die by suicide have a mental health condition that is not treated. So mental health conditions are common and treatable, and so connecting them with that treatment can often be very helpful. Next one. Drinking or drug use. Many times someone struggling with this can lend to drinking or drug use to cope with their negative emotions. So that can be a contributing factor. The next one is someone begins to isolate or withdraw from people and from things that they like to do. The next one is loss of hope. They start expressing a loss of hope in their world. The next one is access to guns. So access to guns increases suicide risk. It makes it easier for someone who has that urge to carry it out in an instant. So if you do have a gun in your house, please keep them locked and hidden. Make sure that you store them unloaded and separate from your ammunition. And then the last one is someone has thoughts of suicide. A thought doesn't necessarily mean that the student wants to die, but it does mean and identify that they are dealing with an intense emotional pain, that they're trying to solve that problem and stop it. Next slide. So next we're going to look at how our parts in preventing suicide. And you as parents or guardians play a very important role in keeping our students safe. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about language. And how we talk about suicide. Instead of saying someone committed suicide, we say someone died by suicide or ended their own life. Using the word committed places a negative connotation that's not very helpful for the situation. So by saying they died by suicide or ended their life, it's clearer. The other thing that we want to be careful about is when we say it's preventable. It can be harmful to families who have lost loved ones to suicide. So the message that we want to convey when we say it's preventable is that there are many pathways that can help prevent it. So the first pathway is, next, treatment. When someone has an undiagnosed or untreated mental health disorder or an issue with substance abuse, receiving the needed treatment for that can be very helpful. The next one is building healthy habits. So encouraging taking care of themselves, eating right, sleeping right, and encouraging that in your household. The next one I know is a little bit hard these days with connection to peers and trusted adults. It's important to have a conversation with your family right now as to how you can have those connections in a way that feels safe to your family. The next one is coping skills. We're going to talk a little bit more about coping skills a little bit later on, but to help build coping skills and the idea of coping skills in your family and what to do when you're experiencing a negative emotion can be helpful. The next one is the one we talked about as far as preventing access to guns. Again, it happens immediately when there's a gun around, so if we can keep those safe and locked away, it's very helpful. And then lastly, encouraging feelings of hope and talking about the future and your own hope can be very helpful. Next slide. So as Monica mentioned, this is a training that we have, and we're trying to get everyone in our community together to support and help our kids. So at some point we will be going and talking to the kids about what they can do and what their role is. And we'll tell them that they have an important role as well. Next slide. So what we'll be talking with them about is the acronym ACT, A-C-T. So the first one is A, next, and that is to acknowledge. So we're talking with your children about acknowledging if they see signs of depression or suicide in their friend. The C stands for care. We're asking them to show their friends that they care. And then lastly, T is to tell a trusted adult immediately. Next slide. So A stands for acknowledging the warning signs. So some of the warning signs that people give when they're thinking about suicide is anger. I think a lot of times people think of someone who is depressed withdrawing or appearing sad, but many times it comes out as anger or irritability. So to watch for that in your friends. We're talking with the kids about noticing big changes in your friend's behavior. And this could be something big like changing their appearance. This could be that withdrawal or sadness. It can also be sometimes they start to give away things that they find important to them or stop participating in activities that they enjoy. Sometimes the kids will feel hopelessness. They'll let their friends know that they feel hopeless. They'll let their friends know that they're sleeping less or more, and we can keep an eye on that as well. To keep an eye on drinking or drug use. And sometimes these kids will talk about the fact that they have overwhelming pain, and they'll actually start to talk about suicide. Next slide. So the next one is C, and we'll be talking with your kids about showing their friends that they care. To create space for their friends, to let them feel seen, and to really meet their friends where they're at. And they can say things like, it's okay to feel that way, or tell me more about it, or I'm here for you. And really just acknowledging that space and creating it can be really helpful. And the next part we're telling kids is to tell a trusted adult. We're letting them know that if they're worried about a friend and that they think that their friend is thinking about suicide, that they need to tell a trusted adult immediately. It is not okay to keep a promise. It is not okay to promise to keep a secret, and it's definitely worth making your friend mad at you by telling their secret. And so that's where you come in to tell a trusted adult. Next slide is your kid might come and talk to you and let them know that they're worried about a friend. So we want to help prepare you as well. So the first thing to do is to listen to your child's concerns and let them know how proud you are of them, that they came to you, and that you will help them find more help for their friend. Another thing you can do is to contact their friend's parents directly and share your child's concerns. The school is also a great outlet. You can call the school mental health staff or an administrator so that they can help support. And we want to emphasize, if you are concerned about a child's immediate safety, please call 911. If the child is in imminent danger, it's okay, and please do call 911 to keep that student safe. And again, to acknowledge that this was probably really hard for your kid to come and tell you, and to reassure them that they did the right thing and that they do not have to carry the responsibility of their friend's emotional support all on their own, and that you will help them find some help. And then speaking of help, you can click to the next one. Some other resources for that are a pediatrician is always very helpful, or can be very helpful to finding support. School counselor, again, if there is an immediate concern, please do call 911. There's the suicide hotline that Monica mentioned earlier, as well as the crisis text line. Sometimes kids feel better texting. There's also the Trevor Project chat line, and that line helps students who identify as LGBTQ. Next slide. We're on to Alicia.
Managing reactions. Whether you're a professional or not, you don't need to be an expert and have all the answers. Next. Give yourself permission to be human. It's common to feel uncomfortable with this topic of suicide. Next. Talk to a supportive person beforehand and debrief afterwards. Next. Most importantly, never keep what you learn a secret. Next. If your child is the child at risk, we'll give you something that you can do. Next. If your child is immediately at risk, we ask that you call 911 or let them know that your child is suicidal. There's also a non-emergency number that you can call, and it's on the screen, that if you feel like your child is just talking about it and you're not sure, you can call that number. If you have transportation, you can go to the nearest emergency room or the nearest mental health hospital. Each path has a different way of getting help. So the first two is the mental health hospitals are Heritage Oaks and Sierra Vista. Heritage Oaks is closer to the San Juan Unified School District. Sierra Vista's in the South area. The Sacramento Urgent Care is near Stockton Boulevard, and it's only open from 10 to 7 on Monday through Friday. The other two mental health hospitals are open 24/7, 7 days a week. Next. What to expect if you arrive at the hospital, a regular hospital emergency room. Your child will meet with a staff and be assessed for risk. The reason why we have to do that is because we want to make sure that your child is not experiencing any health problems that are being masked as a mental health issue. And we have to rule that out. Keep in mind, you have parent rights. And in this, you have those rights at all times. You can take your child home at any point during the assessment. A lot of parents feel uncomfortable when they go in, and then they get worried that something is not right and they disagree with what the professional says. And we want you to know your rights. You can take your child home at any point during the assessment, but we encourage you to go ahead and follow the assessment through. If your child is deemed at risk, they will be at risk and you are not at the regular hospital emergency room, your child will be sent to a regular emergency room to rule that same thing out. Your child will be given a COVID test at the emergency room, and it should be done within a day. We just want to make sure the precautions are good. And when your child returns to the mental health hospital, they will be deemed on a 5150 hold. That hold is what we also call the 3-day hold. Your child will be assigned a case manager and a doctor, and you will be given their information immediately. A release of information will be completed by the case manager who will reach out to you, and that a release of information will only allow people that you decide to be involved in your child's care. That would be their emergency contact person, and it will also be, they will ask for information of your primary care doctor, and if you're already linked to a psychiatrist or a therapist. Next. Timeline. Once the 5150 hold starts, you and the team at the hospital work to find treatment interventions. And the treatment interventions, what you can expect is an intensive mental health treatment provided to your child. This includes a group or individual and an individual treatment plan. Monitoring of your child to ensure safety precautions and treatment, they're receiving the correct treatment. Medication interventions. You can choose to allow your child to have medication. Before that, anybody in the hospital gives your child any medications, the charge nurse will call you and ask you if they're on any medications first, and get that list and make sure it's linked to any hospital or any pharmacy, so that we can make sure that there is no medication reactions. The doctor will also review that list of medications before he prescribes, and he will get your consent before that happens. Any outside provider that you have on can be put on the release of information, and they can be contacted to let them know that your child is in treatment. That means if you have already has a therapist or somebody, whether it's a therapist or like a community person that's supporting your child, they can also be a part of the treatment. The case manager and the psychiatrist will be in regular contact with you. They usually talk to you every couple of days for sure, and to make sure that your child is on progress for their treatment. Because parents are also worried all the time about COVID, and because of COVID precautions in the hospital, parents are not allowed in hospitals right now. So that most mental hospitals offer virtual treatments like Zoom calls that can be done nightly, and they can schedule that for you so that you can make sure that your child is doing okay. Your child will also be giving access to a phone, and they can contact you whenever they feel like they need to. Next. Follow-up and discharge. The treatment team will meet, and they meet weekly to review the safety plan of your child and whether your child is having progress to meet their treatment goals. This treatment team includes a case manager, a charge nurse, and a psychiatrist. The team can also include maybe your school counselor, if you choose to put them on the release of information, your therapist, or any member of your family that you feel that is supportive to the child and can add to the discharge plan. It's helpful to inform your school about your child's return from treatment, because San Juan School District has a plan in place for students that are returning back to the classrooms, and we want them to be successful. So when they come back, we would like for admin to have a pre-meeting so that we all can be in agreement of how your child is going to be successful at school. And during that meeting, we are asking that you bring the discharge summary and the safety plan so that the school can actively know what is going on and how to support you. You will also be given at the hospital a list of resources that can continue to support your child. You will also get a follow-up appointment before you leave the hospital. Next. Building perfective pastors. Encourage connections to the school, participating in activities and strong connections to friends. Next. and let your child know that whether you're always ready to listen, whether you are concerned about a friend or struggling with themselves, they never need to worry alone, and that you guys are always there and there's somebody in their corner to support them. Next.
Thank you, Alicia. The next one is building coping skills. So building coping skills are skills that help people deal with unpleasant feelings, negative emotions, and hard times. So some common coping skills are, the first one is exercise. So getting your body moving, changing the chemicals in your body by doing that exercise can really help deal with the symptoms of depression. Keeping a journal, writing down what you're grateful for can be helpful. This child can do that alone, or you can make it a family event. Again, talking with friends and family and keeping that connection. Again, I know things look differently right now and that might be hard. So to talk with your kids and with your family to figure out what's the best way for them to safely interact with others and feel connected. Listening to music. We know our kids are very interested and connected to their music, and that can a lot of times help them feel seen and understood. There are certain times, however, that the music can kind of add to their sadness, so it's important to kind of monitor their experience with listening to music and how they feel before and after. Next, so if you take a moment to think about what you have seen your teen engage in, the kind of coping skills that you see them do when they're sad or dealing with negative emotions. And if you feel comfortable, it would be great if you could write down some of those ideas in the chat box, and then Vanessa or Monica, someone is going to create a list of all of those coping skills that we're going to send out to you just to get some ideas. So if you take a moment and write in the chat box if you feel comfortable. Next. So the next thing we want to talk about is talking with your teen, how to start that conversation about mental health. I know that we don't usually talk about mental health like we do physical health, so it can be a hard thing to begin. Feelings of depression and anxiety are often hidden because sometimes our kids are confused by their emotions, or they feel embarrassed or ashamed. So by bringing up this topic with your kid, it creates space and it helps increase their confidence with talking with you about it. So the first few things to keep in mind is to ask open questions. So ask open questions and let your child steer the conversation to what they want to talk about. The next thing is not to rush to solve their problems. I know that when our children come to us, sometimes it's hard for us to see them upset, so we want to fix their problem for them, or perhaps we see very clearly what the situation and solution should be, so we want to offer our wisdom. But in fact, the best thing to do in that moment is to listen to what your child has to say, listen to all they have to say, and then at the end, ask them what they think would help that situation, because a lot of times once they work through it, they can tell you and talk with you about it. The other thing is just to be available and to make your child knows that you're available. I think a lot of times our kids don't want to talk to us when we tell them that we're around to talk with them. So just to kind of bookmark it and let them know that you're always around and that we can talk later. Next slide. So then we talk about how to create those opportunities for our kids to talk with us. One thing that you can do is have family-led or teen-led family meetings. So once a week, set aside time where your family sits together, maybe talks about the week ahead, things that are going well, and let your teen set the agenda as to what they want to talk about. That creates a time that the kid knows every week they're going to have this meeting, and it would be a good time to talk with their parent about anything that they need. The next thing that you can do is playing a game, which in teen language means joining your teen in things that they like to do, activities that they're enjoying. So if they're in a comfortable state doing things that feel good to them, sometimes that creates an opportunity that they feel more comfortable talking about a difficult situation or feeling. If the subject comes up in a movie or TV show or in the news or the world, really take that natural opportunity to have a discussion about. It opens the door in a really natural way that you can start asking those open-ended questions. When you're out for a walk with your teen or taking a drive, sometimes that relaxed atmosphere can really make it easier for a teenager to talk about some hard things. Because you're sitting side by side and don't have that direct eye contact, it can alleviate some of the pressure. And realize that this is not going to be one conversation. It's going to be many, many conversations over time. So if you're having the conversation, don't feel pressured to say everything that you need to say in that one talk. Be in the moment and respond to where your child is at, and know that you can always come back to that conversation because it's already in the room, it's already been introduced. And then the last thing is enlist other trusted adults. Sometimes we have to recognize that we are not the person that our child wants to talk to about their feelings. And a grandparent or a trusted adult or aunt can really be helpful in supporting our kids. And to realize for us that it's not any fault of our own. It doesn't mean we're doing anything wrong if our kids don't feel comfortable. It's okay, and to create that space for them. To go somewhere else too. And then lastly, like Alicia was saying earlier, this is a hard conversation. Can be really uncomfortable for us to talk about mental health issues as well. So if you're feeling that discomfort, you can feel it in the moment and be as present as you can for your child and listen and creating space. And then it's so important to go and get support for yourself as well to process your feelings about what's happening. Next slide.
Asking about suicide. It's okay to ask about suicide. Asking about suicide will not put the idea in someone's head. This is a myth that a lot of kids and parents and teachers and family members think that this is going to happen. Instead, it lets them know that you see their pain and that you're not afraid to help them. And that's what the youngsters are looking for, is someone that they can reach out and is not afraid and will help them. Next. You can ask indirect questions such as, do you wish you would go to sleep and not wake up? Or do you wish you were dead? Or you can ask direct questions. Next. Have you thought about killing yourself? And have you had thoughts about suicide? You should not worry about asking the direct questions, because whether you ask a indirect question or a direct question, the answer will still be the same. And the child will not deviate whether you ask it indirectly or directly. Next. Action steps. Look out for warning signs and seek help immediately. 2, help build coping skills and positive supports for your child. You want to look for the supports before your child needs help. This is why we are doing this this presentation, so that you can start right now, tonight, and start looking for people that are willing to be supportive of your child and be in your child's life, even when things get hard. 3, talk to your child about suicide and be ready to listen when your child tells you about it. Remember the 3 words: act, acknowledge, care, and tell. And never keep it a secret on tell. Next. Together we can make a difference. This graph shows how accidents of children and suicides. While parents play an important role, they are not alone in the fight to prevent youth suicide. Our schools, communities must work together to support their students. While suicide is now the second leading cause of death for teens, the focus is on accidents, because over the past 15 years, our nation has dramatically reduced the number of teens dying in car accidents. How did we do it? We used safer cars. We used safer roads. We increased driver's ed. We had stricter requirements for licenses for teens. And we increased drinking and driving laws. And that's why we're using suicide. And we're telling parents how to act, how to help their kids understand what to do and how to do it. Next. Monica?
Sorry, I was still trying to get the link to work. I apologize. So one thing that we really liked about this Signs of Suicide program is that they do have a parent page. So even after this training, or actually it's an information night, not really a training, you can access lots of information from the actual organization, which is MindWise. So you would have to copy. We will put this website in the link, but you can copy and paste it into a new browser, and it'll give you a wealth of information. You just have to navigate through it. It'll bring you to a main portal page, and then you'll click the parent section. It gives you videos about how to talk with your students about suicide, kind of gives you little vignettes. It also will give you some script. We've given you some script, but it gives you even more script so that you feel like you have actual words that you can talk with your children about it. So we encourage you to access this website if this is a concern with your student, or if you just want to continue to build your confidence on this topic. Next slide, please. So to remind you, this acronym that we introduced at the beginning and we've talked about thoroughly is acknowledge. So it's acknowledging that what you're seeing your students or your children struggling with. So if you see changes in behavior, if they're seeming really down, if they seem more moody than normal, we know that adolescents, we've been working with adolescents for a long time, so we know that they're naturally moody, but if they seem even more moody, if you find any kind of writings, pictures, or them talking about suicide, if you think that they're withdrawing from family or friends, if they're sleeping more than normal, and we know that everything is kind of layered with the pandemic, but you also know your children, and if anything seems off, then make sure that you're acknowledging what you're seeing in your child. Just check it out with them. The C is for care. It's just helping your students know that you really do care about them. They know that, but it's good for them to hear it as well. And that you know what the resources are to get them help. And then lastly, never be afraid to reach out to anyone in our school district or to the other available resources, which we will talk about more and put them up on the screen. Reach out to either the National Suicide Lines, reach out to the crisis lines. All of that is anonymous. So even if you just wanted to gather information, you could reach out to it and say something like, I'm really worried about my child. Could you help direct me? Could you give me some more information? It is staffed, as we said, with professionals 24/7, and they're more than happy to give you any information you need, any courage, any encouragement in talking about this topic with your kids. Next slide, please. We also wanted to show you some resources that we have within our district, things that were newly created. So probably the silver lining of this pandemic is that it did give some of the mental health professionals and department leaders within our district some much needed collaboration time to create lots of resources. So the first resource, and I'm not sure if Vanessa can click on it, is our wellness room. So you can find this on our district webpage, as well as you can we'll give you the link and you can just click on it directly. But in here are lots and lots of resources. So all of the students, all of the parents, all of our staff have access to this. And so Vanessa's just going to kind of scroll to show you some of the things. But there's music, there's animal cameras, there's mindfulness, there's relaxation, yoga, lots of things. So even you as parents, like most of us are parents, And we feel stress as well. We're not immune to the stresses of life, the stresses of this pandemic, work, what have you. So this is a really great tool just to get your own self-centered, as well as it gives you some of the links to our in-district services. Like for instance, the Get Help link that was launched around April or May. So if you are worried about one of your children and you think that you would like someone in our mental health department to reach out to them, you can click this within the wellness room and it will create a Google form that comes directly to me. I review it and I then send it to the appropriate social emotional staff, or we handle it here at White House. But either way, someone will connect with you and get you the needed resources, as well as there are some other resource links on here. And another organization that we have linked with is Care Solace. So if you have private insurance, then they can help you find a mental health resource. So we just wanted to share this website with you. It's the Wellness Room, and it's a part of our district webpage. Vanessa, can you? Thank you. And then the other resource is our FACE website. And on here, and I can let Benita share a little bit more about what's on here, but we also created a quick link to all the available resources, whether it's housing or food or whatever you're needing. Benita, do you want to share a little bit more about the FACE website?
Thank you, Monica. Thank you for already starting. This will let you know of current resources that we have available for families, for students, community partners who are also providing support. It's not just district departments, but it could be a community partner. As well as the workshop we're having tonight will be on this webpage probably tomorrow morning. So you can look at this workshop again if you'd like to, and workshops that we had in the previous time. So this is right there, and Vanessa's highlighting them right now. So all the workshops we do, if you want to just go back and look at it maybe tomorrow or 3 days from now with your son or your daughter, or even with other family members, that's an opportunity for you to do as well.